Hello guys, welcome back. Today's episode we're going to talking about variables. So what is variables, how to use variables, and different things we're going to talking about it in this episode. So this episode is really important. So the first thing, what is a variable? Basically variable, we use it variable to store our data. If we have, for example, a different data, we can store our data into this variable. So the variable is something that we put our data, so it's very simple. Let me give you example from a real life. If we have box, so imagination, this is a box is a variable, so we use this variable in this situation to store our books, for example, or maybe data, maybe products, anyway. So that's exactly what a variable is. Basically, you're gonna get the idea of what is a variable when we're talking about when we take examples. So let's get started. And we're going to talking about how to assign values, and you can use so this is some rules you need to follow. If this is really important, so let's get started. The first thing, let's talking about the syntax, or how the syntax of a variable. We have the name of variable, name variable. We have equal operator, and then we have data, for example Osama or maybe pill, anyway. So our data, it could be anything. So let's try make a variable. If we have, for example, names or name, and we have equal, and we have, for example, pill, for example. Let's try to do, and then so what we get is not what we don't get anything. If you remember print, so print actually is a function that we use it to print anything on the screen. So let's print the data of this variable. So let's try to do print, for example. What we're gonna do is, for example, name. So let's Control C, and what we get is pill. So pill is the data. So it's very simple actually. If you remember, I said you need to you can put the data, it could be anything, or the values, it could be anything. We can put some different we can put for example different marks, for example like this, or even like this, anyway. And we can put also numbers. So for example, we have this, and we can do is Control B, and what we get is this. So it's very simple actually. Let's try to do, actually you can do this, and this, and then Control C, Control B, and what you get is this. This is actually what is a variable. Let's try to do something. For example, let's do name of for example pill, and let's say, for example, age equal, for example, let's say 25, and let's say try to do this age. Control C, Control B. So what we get is this. Actually we can do this. We can also do like this, something like this. Yes, you can't do this. So because you can't add string to the number. But if we change this, for example, let's say for example last name, for example, last name, let's say something like, say, for example, if we have this last name, so what we get is this. So it's very simple actually. But we can do this with numbers. We can add we can add elements to the data, but we can't do this with numbers. For example, let's try to age, for example 25, and let's say, for example, I don't know, maybe age So yes, we can do this actually. So what we get is this. For example, let's print the basic information about this person. For example, let's say job or care. For example, let's say software or programmer or back-end. Let's say programmer, and let's say if we want to store, for example, job. So what we get is this Perl and so this is a very simple, but it's not a professional, So let's do a comment. If you don't know what is comment basically is something that we use comments for it comments we can't the interpreter of Python don't interpret execution this. So this line line. So that's why we put this. For example, let's say this Ctrl+C Ctrl+B, we get error. But if we do this, we can't get, because it's the Python interpreter doesn't execute this code. You get the idea. We use comments also if we want to explain the code. When you get back one day, for example, when you see the comments, you can realize what's going on. So let's say the job, for example, or anyway the information of person. Anyway, so that's why we use it. For example, let's say print let's say print your name is, and let's say this, and let's say, for example, name, and print, for example, your age is, for example, and let's say age, for example, print your job is, for example, let's try job. What I get is a professional, so it's more perfect. So this is code is perfect. We can also do another thing, but this is we're going talking about, this is simple introduction about it. For example, let's say print about it. For example, let's say print let's say, for example, your name is, and let's say, for example, something like that, and your age is something like that. For example, your job is, and something like that. And then we can do format name and age and job. So what we get is this: your name is Pearl, your age is 25, your job is programmer or backend or whatever. So but there's some important thing. There are some rules you need to know about variables. The first thing, you can't use number as a variable. You can't use complex or a different marks as a variable. In the part of the name of variable, you can't name variable number. You can't name variable, for example, the arrow or star or dash or anyway. So except underscore. You can do underscore is a mark that we can use to name our variable. Let's try, for example, number. Anyway, let's say 5, and let's say, for example, pill. Let's keep with the same name, and let's say print 5. Here you can't, you cannot assign, you can't assign, or you can't do this because it's number. Let's try, for example, let's try different like this, for example, or let's say this number, and let's say here, for example, because actually we can't use this. Let's try, for example, this, and let's try here, for example, something like this. You can't do this, so let's Control B, Control V. You can't do, so that's why actually we use this. Thank you so much for watching this video. Basically, I think we're going